Hello and welcome back to Gardening with Ben. Welcome to our new episode for today. I hope you're enjoying all the podcasts that we're putting out there. If you've not subscribed to our channel, make sure you click the subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts, what get launched, and feel free to follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube and Instagram, Gardening with Ben. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, make sure you leave a review as well, as it's always good to see who's listening and what you think of the podcast. Let's start today's episode. And welcome to today's episode of Gardening with Ben. Today's episode we're going to be talking about protection, which means protecting those fruit and vegetables from slugs, from birds, as you can put in all the effort to growing these delicious fruit and vegetables, but then if you don't protect them, things can come and enjoy eating them before you even get a chance to eat them, which you don't want to lose all your crops to the bugs and the slugs and the birds, as it will be a waste of time growing them all. So we're going to be talking a bit about that this morning. So probably around about 9 years ago, I used to have an open plot with not much protection on it. I used to use the things what you shouldn't use. I used to use slug pellets, which I don't use anymore, so that's a good thing. And also I used quite a bit of netting, but I just used to net over the single beds. And the thing is with that is that you've got to keep taking it off all the time to weed it all and then put it back on again, and you'd end up ripping it and it'd get tangled up and stuff like that. So I thought to myself, why not make my plot into one massive fruit cage? As obviously fruit cages are covered in mesh and netting to stop the birds from coming on and eating all your crops. As when you're growing plants, especially like brassicas, which are your Brussels sprouts, cauliflowers, cabbages, if you plant them, the next day you'll come down and they'll have been decimated by pigeons. They'll have eaten them to the core. Same with runner beans, so you've got to protect them from the birds. So I thought to myself, why not make my full plot into a sort of fruit cage to protect my full plot, and it'll save having to take the netting off all the time rather than keep putting it back on. So I built a structure. I put chicken wire all the way down the sides of my plot, and that is about 8 foot high. I use the chicken wire so that the smaller birds can still get in, that being like blue tits, robins, stuff like that, so they can come and eat the slugs still and enjoy that. And then for the top, I purchased some anti-bird netting, which is quite small hold, stronger stuff, and I put that along the top. Now, the cost of that was about £80, which is a lot of money for netting, but I measured the size of my plot so I could have it cut to the right size, which was perfect, and all I have to do is fasten it up above my plot every year, and then at the end of the growing season, October time, I will take it back down again, because if you leave it up when it's bad weather like snow, it will just rip it if it lands on top of it. So that goes above my head, so I don't have to keep taking the netting off and back on my plot, and it works absolutely perfectly. I had a lot of bad feedback at first from some of my followers saying what happens if birds get stuck in it and stuff like that. They were sending me pictures of birds stuck in netting and everything, which was quite upsetting, to be honest. But I have never had a bird stuck in it, In the 10 years that I've had it up, it's worked perfectly. It was the best £80 investment I've ever spent, and the netting is still going strong now. I'll be putting that back up in March, April time on the plot, and like I said, it goes above my head, so then I don't have to keep taking it off and putting it back on over the veg as a weed. It just stays above my head the whole time, and it protects it from the pigeons. Now, for protection from slugs, like I said, we shouldn't be using slug pellets, as hedgehogs can eat them, birds can eat them, and they're not good at all, so we need to try and stay away from them. So there's many alternative methods out there which are very good. One of the main ones being beer. That's one of the best ones to use. Obviously buy cheap beer, don't spend money on good beer, but that really does work well. And quite a few people are trying the method with coffee grounds, so that when slugs go over them, they won't like them. Another method which I've seen, which looks brilliant, is using old blackberry canes what are covered in thorns. When you're pruning them at the end of the year, save them all and put them round your veg, so that when the slugs go over them, they'll pierce them. So that's very environmentally friendly, and it's free, which you can't go wrong for. So that has been our talk on protection for the allotment this morning. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. I hope that you have enjoyed it. Make sure you do click that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our podcasts, which get launched on a daily basis at the moment. And feel free to follow us on our social medias, Facebook, Instagram and YouTube, Gardening with Ben. Obviously on YouTube you get to see all the videos as well, which we launch regularly. And if you'd like to support Gardening with Ben, check out the link below in the description from our shop, where you can purchase fantastic gardening hoodies and t-shirts. You can also buy a Gardening with Ben mug to be drinking your own brew out of while listening to this podcast. And we've launched recently a fantastic range of greeting cards which can be used for any occasion, and also for letters to send to family and friends. So thanks for listening, and as always, remember, keep gardening.